At least 8 people have died, nearly 400, including 105 Indians, remain missing as a flash flood in the Bhote Koshi River swept through Nepal's Nuwakot and Dering districts. The floodwater came from the Tibetan side of the border, causing extensive damage and washing away several villages. Images shared by Nepalese police showed floodwater surging through river, sweeping away house in its path. The Nepal army said it had deployed helicopters and disaster response personnel to the affected area. The Nepal Electricity Authority said about 430 megawatts of production capacity, including from hydropower and solar facilities, has been damaged. Several highways were also closed. Chinese state broadcaster CCTV reported that a mudslide disaster on the Nepalese side resulted in major casualties and missing people at the Gyeorong port in the Tibet state. Tibetan state news agency Xinhua said Chinese President Xi Jinping had urged all-out rescue operations but did not provide figures on injuries or deaths. She said that the most urgent task is doing everything possible to search for and the rescue of the missing people, quickly treat injured people and minimize casualties to the greatest extent possible. Monsoon rains from June to September regularly trigger deadly floods and landslides across South Asia. Scientists say climate change is increasing the frequency and intensity of extreme weather events in the region. Now we are being joined by our editor of Foreign Affairs, Siddhant Sibal, on the phone line. Siddhant, the visuals we have been getting are horrific. What is the latest that you can tell us?
It's a shocking development for sure. We have seen the visuals that shows you the extent of the disaster. I think this is a major disaster for Nepal, and Nepal has put all the authorities on the ground for the rescue and relief operation. Now, the reports coming from Nepal say approximately 7 people have died so far, but the authorities have said that many remain missing. In fact, the Nepal Tourism Board has said 105 Indians are missing. Also, nationals from US, UK, Malaysia, South Africa, and Netherlands are missing. These are tourists. And of course, that shows their increased concern. Now, it clearly shows that the extent of disaster is huge, and we do expect the Indian authorities to provide support to Nepal, as has been the case in the past after the 2015 earthquake.
Thanks, Siddhant, for all those developments. And now joining us live from Kathmandu is Surendra Fuyal. He's a senior journalist from Nepal. Now, Mr. Surendra, what now? South Asia faces these flash floods every monsoon season, and the climate change is making it even worse. What can the authorities do to stop these flash floods from causing this extensive damage that happens every monsoon season?
It's a good question. As far as today's flash flood is concerned, officials and meteorologists, experts in Nepal are suspecting that it could have been triggered by a massive glacial lake outburst flood high up in Tibet, right across Nepal border. And water just, a huge amount of water just came crashing down. Nepal's meteorologists are saying that the water that emptied out of the Himalaya, or the snow has not yet emptied. It's still trapped there in some pond, and there is likelihood of another flash flood, they're saying. So it is something triggered by exacerbated by climate change. That's what experts are saying, that extreme weather events are becoming increasingly common across the Himalayas, across the world. And what the heat is doing is it is triggering excessive melting of ice and glaciers suddenly, and unleashing the kind of flood that Nepal today witnessed. And it is not the first time Rasuwa and North Nepal, this part of Nepal, was hit by flash flood. Just last year also, there was a similar flash flood originating in Tibet that poured down into Nepal and left a trail of destruction. So it has repeated again this time around. And whatever we're getting, the news we're getting is quite shocking and horrific. And officials are still trying to ascertain what went wrong. They are still busy assessing and busy with search and rescue operation.
Right. And what are you learning about the immediate situation on the ground?
Well, rescue efforts are underway. Right now, also, as we talk, a helicopter is hovering over our head, somewhere over the sky, and it is a helicopter returning from Rasuwa in North Nepal, which is about 150 kilometers north of Kathmandu. So it is, really, officials are working hard and they have appealed for help. They have, joined, they have appealed to Nepali people to join hands to make sure that people in need get the help they need. Also, the officials have, requested non-governmental organizations also to team up for search and rescue and relief operation. Uh, they've already found 7 dead bodies along the river banks. That's the report that we have. And I spoke to a witness, a survivor in North Nepal, Rasuwa. He said he lost his wife and son. They are missing, and he says the entire town is nothing remains in the entire town of Sabru Besi. He was quite shocked. He survived because he ran to higher grounds along with other people. But he said at least 100 people from that town were missing a couple of hours ago. So the situation is quite dire. And across the border in Tibet, also we're hearing from travel agents that hundreds of tourists bound for Kailas Mansarovar Yatra are unaccounted for. They are not, they are not being able to contact them. Maybe they have lost their communication, or maybe something has gone wrong. We don't know. But right from north of Tibet to South Nepal, it is a dire situation, and the water pours down into Gandak River in India. But by the time it reaches Gandak, I think the water will have the intensity will have calmed down.
And the visuals we are getting are terrifying. Can you share which areas are the worst affected right now?
Actually, north of Kathmandu, immediate north of Kathmandu, actually Trisuli River, it's called Bhote Koshi in Tibet, border area, and below Rasuwa district in North Nepal, it is called Trisuli River, and below, across, and below, further downstream in India, it's called Gandak River. It is right in the middle of Nepal. It sort of divides Nepal into two. It flows through the heart of Nepal, originates in Tibet, and that's where this disaster happened. It happened, of course, in Bagmati province, where Kathmandu is located, and that region, the entire it's most it's really developed region as compared to other parts of the country. But now you have seen what has happened to all the development, all the riverside settlements. They have suffered a lot. At least 6 hydroelectricity projects have been affected, badly affected, destroyed. Nearly more than a dozen bridges have been swept away, and it is absolutely unimaginable. A lot of people are saying that it is something they have never seen in their lifetime. This is the kind of flood that hit Nepal today, and also other people are saying it is the biggest natural disaster to hit Nepal after the 2015 devastating earthquake that claimed the lives of 9,000 people.
And going back to what you earlier said, can you share more on the Himalayan floods which happened in the past also? What measures need to be taken to ensure loss of lives and property is averted?
Experts say there are hundreds of glacial lakes across the Himalayas, and dozens of them are at risk of flooding, like possibly today. It is possibly a result of glacial lake outburst flood. That's most likely, experts say. What they basically call for efforts to identify the high risk flood, high risk lakes, and make sure that they are drained properly, that are breach their banks, and they are safe. So they need to identify first. They need to identify the risky lakes. Number two, they need to take risk mitigation measures, and number three, they say Himalayan region with more glacial lakes now, growing and melting and swelling, need a lot of weather stations, high-tech satellite powered, satellite installed weather stations, so that they can, prepare for such eventualities, such disasters better.
Right, and there are reports of, we are getting information that Prime Minister Balendra Shah called an emergency meeting of the cabinet. The Nepal army has taken the lead in the rescue operations and other security agencies are assisting it. Can you share more on this?
Yeah, the cabinet meeting was underway. It was an emergency cabinet meeting, and the Home Minister is supposed to brief the Parliament about the search and rescue efforts. The meeting basically called for efforts to intensify search and rescue operation, mobilize all the resources, all the government agencies that Nepal has at its disposal to the site, to the affected areas, all along the river banks, all along the banks of the Bhote Koshi or the Trishuli River, up from all the way from Rasuwa to the Hading, Nuwakot, and Gorkha, and also Chitwan district. So basically, they called for easing of all the restrictions that may be underway to make sure that the search and rescue effort operations go smoothly.
Thank you, Mr. Surendra, for joining us on the broadcast.